Okay, I'm the spender in the family. There, I said it. Now, maybe not in the traditional sense. I drive a pretty modest vehicle. We don't live in a super fancy house or fancy neighborhood. We've saved and sacrificed in a lot of different ways. However, when it comes to like eating out or experiences or traveling and things like that, I don't do a great job historically reining it in. But I was thinking about this when filming this video, and I grew up in a family that, they might not have been spenders, but they were big time clutterers, if you will. My parents weren't exactly hoarders, but they just always had a lot of stuff. And I thought, how much easier would my life be if I had less stuff? It sounds weird, right? But desiring less would actually solve so many problems, like overspending, hoarding, not saving enough, etc., etc. Let's be clear, the goal isn't to never want things. The goal is really to manage your desire so it doesn't control you. And the most effective way to do this in a big picture way is really to set up systems to help us resist temptation. So, quick example. We live in a society where we're getting 5,000 ads fed to us every single day. We bank with banks that charge us $35 if we slip up an overdraft. And we have credit cards that charge us 30% for the privilege to borrow money. So automated systems are what my clients use to get out of debt and to finally start building wealth to ensure a better future for them and their families. And I love the phrase, stacking the deck in your favor. So in multiple card games, you get a random set of cards that will determine how the game will turn out for you. This is often how people approach their finances without realizing it. You get money in random accounts, spend the money on random stuff at random times. But what if you could hack the system to get a more favorable set of cards at the beginning of the game? Would that increase your chance of winning the game? Of course it would. To stack the deck in my favor when it comes to finances, I set up a series of accounts. I created separate accounts for spending, saving, and investing. And I automate transfers so money goes to the right places each and every payday, whenever payday occurs, no matter how much or little is coming in each month. This is especially powerful for those of you watching with variable income. Maybe it's from sales commissions or bonuses. Maybe you're an entrepreneur like me and the future is very unpredictable. I talk about this at length in another video. I'll link it right up here and you can check that out if you're interested. Now, automation aside, here's some practical tips to help you tame overspending. With online shopping, marketers make it so easy for us to overspend. You just click the buy now button and the money disappears from your bank account instantly. We've all seen the memes about dozens of Amazon packages appearing on your doorstep every day, and sometimes you don't even know why you bought it in the first place.
David, it was my understanding that I was not going to be managed.
What gave you that idea?
It was my understanding.
There's even a made-up term called primnesia, which means you order so much you don't even know what's in the box anymore. It's a real problem. One way to combat this is by using a wish list. If it's on Amazon, you can create a wish list in Amazon. If it's on other apps that you're struggling with or other sales channels, if you're an Apple person, you can create an Apple Note. You can create a note on your own device and keep track of these things that you want. So instead of buying something immediately, in the moment, put it on your wish list. Wait a day, wait 30 days, but make sure your wish list is not your cart. Otherwise, you're screwed. This simple delay can help you not only avoid these purchases, but help you weigh out the pros and cons of making the purchase to begin with. Often, you'll be surprised at what you don't actually want the next day. During this time, you're able to see if it fits your budget, look at reviews, but like I said, see if you even care about it the next day, let alone 30 days later. Another tip is pick your plastic. So don't use credit cards for spending. When you use a debit card, you can't go into debt for that purchase. And the reality is, credit card companies spend billions of dollars mining your psychology and weaponizing it against you. Did you know with every transaction you use a credit card instead of a debit card, you can spend up to 18% per transaction? So, said another way, the fastest way to get an 18% after-tax raise is to stop using credit cards for spending. For larger purchases, over $100, create a savings bucket. It forces you to save up, transfer the money, and really consider consider what you're buying before you buy it. Side note, when we look at the studies of happiness, anticipation is a huge part of happiness. And so this is a great thing. Even if it might not feel like it in the moment, the more that you wait and save up and long for something and actually achieve it, the better you're going to feel about it. So I mentioned the savings bucket, and it reminds me of my client Brandon. So Brandon and I worked together several months ago, and he wanted to go, this wasn't like a physical material item, but he wanted to go on vacation. He wanted to go to the beautiful Amalfi Coast in Italy. And I asked him, how much do you think that's going to be? And he said, I don't know, $5,000. So step two is asking him when he wanted to take the trip. And he wanted to go 2 years from now. So we take $5,000 divided by 24 months, and you get $208. And for $208, Brandon is going to go on a once-in-a-lifetime dream destination vacation, arguably every other year. And it's really that simple to just set up a savings bucket, click a couple buttons, and the money is going to save itself, and you go on and live your best life. Now, here's a similar concept that I call intentional inconvenience. Make it harder for yourself to buy things on impulse. We want to create steps that add time and thought to our purchasing process, whether it's deleting your cards on, Amazon portals and things like that to where you have to manually enter it in each time you want to make a purchase, or just entirely delete the app from your phone. Again, the goal here is not to never spend, but to do it with intention. And one of the easiest ways that I help clients establish this is with a spending account. It's literally a checking account that you earmark only for spending, whether it's groceries, going out to eat, household toiletries, or entertainment, or just fun money. We have different accounts for these purposes that have boundaries in place. So you get a cash infusion, and when the money's gone, it's gone. One very practical tip is just to unsubscribe from tempting emails. The ones that offer a discount or a promotion all the time. Shout out J Crew. We want what we see, so out of sight, out of mind. You can also install the Chrome extension ad block. That way, if you don't see ads, you're less likely to buy something, right? You could subscribe to YouTube Premium. That way you won't even see ads in between these YouTube videos. On the flip side, if you wanted to save up for an item and get it at the best price, you can install a Chrome extension called Camel that tracks all the price and historical history of items on Amazon, so you can see if you're actually getting a deal on that thing you've been wanting. Lastly, let's find our contentment elsewhere. Retail therapy is bullshit. Sometimes we shop out of boredom or because we're seeking a little joy in the form of a cheap dopamine hit. A simple solution to this is finding joy elsewhere, perhaps in a hobby or activity that you like. It could be reading, going for a hike, finally going to the gym that you signed up for in December of last year. It could be anything that keeps you busy and happy without spending additional money. So for me, I have a $20 gym membership, and that has been awesome for me. That helps me get in the zone, shake off the stress from the day. I also play drums. Maybe that's not the most inexpensive hobby, but I remember buying a used kit online. Yeah, I think this was during COVID. I ended up getting a good deal on a used kit and slowly upgrading over time. And that's been a huge hobby for me. Drop in the comments and let me know what your hobby is. Now, one of the easiest ways to reduce mindless spending is to focus on your financial goals, but with the right systems in place. When you remember that every unnecessary purchase is really just delaying the life that you want, it's a lot easier to say no to things you don't really need. When you set spending limits that aren't super restrictive to begin with, it makes staying the course a million times easier. I actually had a call today with a prospective client making $240,000 a year. They have a bunch of kids, and they, said that our expenses are, half of what we make. And I said, oh, great, but they're in debt. They're not able to save any money. And so that is a problem. So I pulled out my calculator, just like I'm going to do now, and say, okay, 240,000 divided by 2. So, if we could solve this problem for you, it looks like you'd be saving this much every year. And they almost fell over. It's a big deal. People think that, oh, I'm not a big spender, until you look at the transactions, until you look at the systems you have in place. And if they're not working for you, guess what? That is costing you tens of thousands of dollars each and every year, let alone adding opportunity cost to that. Think about how much is going out the door, add 8-10% rate of return on that, and we've got a big problem here. Okay, so those are my tips on how to stop wanting and stop buying so much random stuff. And now, here are my thoughts on why looking poor is important, and you can check that out right up here. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel. You'll see so much more valuable content. Thanks for watching.